What? What's that?
We want to deal with you,
Do people have any?
Oh yes, questions. Please ask a question, otherwise I feel I'm, not wanted.
I said, we want to deal with you, David.
You want to
We want to deal with you.
come and talk to me later? Yes. Any questions? I can't have covered it in 20 minutes. Must be a question somewhere. I haven't, have I?
Yeah.
You're joking me. Well, nobody's fallen asleep.
It's supposed to be an interview as well.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Now, these bloody Timexes, it's stopped.
So, you mentioned about the documents that aren't in the pack.
Yeah.
How do you know what documents you should be looking for, and is there like a checklist of documents?
Well, there is standard documents you'd expect to see in it, and look at a guide. Again, your solicitor advises you that, but typical example, leasehold property, I would expect to see service charge documents in there, 3 years' worth. Any other questions? A gentleman at the back? Oh. Hi. Not enough. No, membership is a very affordable 525 plus VAT or slightly more than half that for 6 months. So for £1.50 a day, nothing will go to auction which you don't know about. And if you're not interested in auctions, it's probably not worthwhile subscribing or looking. But if you're thinking of auctions, it's the best tool you can have. And would you try and navigate across Europe with one eye shut, a flat tire and no sat-nav? No. That's what it's like trying to buy at auction without our service. Actually, both eyes shut, I think. There's some questions at the back, I saw.
Yeah, hi David. What happens if the buyer withdraws later on? What happens to the advance? Who does it go to? Does it go to the auction house or does it go to the...
Where is that coming from? Who's... Oh, hi. So, what was the question again, sir?
If the buyer later on withdraws,
Yep.
what happens to the deposit
Oh.
and the advance? Does it go to the vendor or does it go to the auction house?
Right. If the buyer reneges on the deal, breaches, he's not withdrawing, he's breaching a contract which is agreed, he'll definitely lose his deposit. That will generally go to the vendor because the auctioneer would have taken at the same time his buy. He will be, and if he hasn't paid the full deposit, he could be sued for breach of contract. So very simply, he's broken a contract to buy this property for 100 grand. He's paid £5,000 deposit over, and he's got to pay the auctioneer their buyer's premium or fees, if you like. If the vendor then put it in the next auction and it's sold for 90, he could sue, and they do sue. The vendor could sue that buyer, say, right, you reneged on a contract. I've lost 10 grand on the deal. Auctioneer wants his fees. I want interest and further costs. Yeah. So it's not worth. This is not an Argos catalogue. It's an auction catalogue.
If the vendor knows the property has asbestos, is he supposed to declare it in the auction pack?
Right. The CPRs are very clear on this. Where an estate agent knows or reasonably to have known, given his knowledge and expertise in the area, that there is an issue which would materially affect a buying decision made by a buyer, he has to declare it. Now, if a vendor kept it quiet and didn't tell the auctioneer, but the auctioneer went round and saw an asbestos roof, went like that. That is illegal. That's against the CPRs, am I right? Yes. Absolutely. But yeah, so they have to be declared. So if there's a crack in the wall and the auctioneer sees it on inspection, he would need to say the property is suffering from structural defects. We strongly recommend you get a structural surveyor to have a look at it, or Japanese knotweed. It's very, very clear the case law on this. One more question.